Lads, we are back.
We are on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
This is new. This is new.
Robin Leonard joins us once again. Welcome back, Adam, to Ontario.
Thank you. You're referencing the panda in the background of my shot. I am back in Ontario. So yeah, happy to be here.
Robin Leonard, in fact, is not joining us.
Yeah, no, it is a stuffed animal panda, not actually Robin Leonard.
Not yet. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm hopeful.
I'm hopeful. Exactly.
I'd like to have him on just to be like, so cold coffee all day. Just for a bit of fun, because you know Robin Leonard. Robin Leonard's a fun guy. We were so busy last episode with Will. Everything I thought we talked about went on for so much, like the expansion stuff. Oh boy, the Houston conversation was like a solid 40 minutes. Yeah. So much so that a good portion of today's show is actually what was supposed to be last show. But we've got some more stuff that's happened since then, even more Olympic news. The Women's Worlds happened, or has finished, I should say, and that's going to be really fun to talk about. Shout out Blayre Turnbull. Some signings have been happening and all that. Some conversation around some maybe trade targets and all that. So, fellas, I guess we should probably mention that I just think it's been a really great summer for Canadian athletes, especially the women. Going back to the Olympics, along the way of getting that gold medal, beating Megan Rapinoe in the States. Always a great feeling. Beating the States, not just, I know people don't like Megan Rapinoe for whatever reason, but just, beating the States is such a great feeling. Especially how upset she was about it. Oh, it was great. And then it continues last night in the Women's World Championships, down 2-0 after the first period. Marie-Philip Poulin in overtime. Who else but Captain Canada? 2 golden goals in her career, 3 total gold medals. She's gotten the game winner for every single one of them. And what a perfect shot it was. What was the call? She knows she scored. What a game.
It was something else to watch. That's for sure. It was just, you're right, like just this entire summer for women's sports, like going back to not the World Cup, the Olympics, right? With the gold medal against Brazil. That was the shootout. Just something else. And they actually I'm pretty sure they got like the majority of Canada's first medals.
Yeah, they did.
In the Olympics. But with the hockey game, it was just when Canada and the US play, especially the women, there's something, I don't know what the word is. There's this extra oomph. You know how we talk about that extra oomph with players? They all have it. They all have it when they play against each other. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah,
I think you would just quickly. I think you meant Sweden. That's who they beat.
Sweden.
In the final.
Sorry,
yeah.
Sweden.
Yeah. You thought of the yellow flag.
I don't know why I thought Brazil. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, for me that was a very intense game. So the way I kind of felt it was the back and forth after it became 2-2, but the amount of penalties Canada took, like in the second and going towards the third, that just made me really nervous. But
the last 10 minutes of the third were very stressful.
Yeah, but yeah, that was probably one of the best games I've watched this year, and it's kind of amazing, like where we always have this discussion where it's like there's no interest in female sports in terms of like the mass populace of things, but I have to like look at this tournament and see that like there was the attention, there was the excitement, there was that factor that I think that really drew in a lot more people to want to watch this, especially I know because of the circumstances with COVID, but it just gave her another extension of like, listen, there's no other hockey going on right now. Like this was the perfect time to have the tournament.
What's the best part is this tournament didn't happen almost. It got canceled earlier in the pandemic, and there was almost this call of like there was almost no backup plan from the IIHF. It was scary, man. But it's just what also is kind of rough about it though is you get reminded of how great, not only how amazing best on best international play is, but just like it kind of makes you so sad when if you're looking at Blayre Turnbull stuff and you see that technically she's not playing right now because of just the disagreement between different leagues right now, aka the Players Association, and just out desperately. We talked a bit about it with Will in the WNBA last episode, but like the NHL itself right now just need to step in. But anyway, without going too far from it, I mentioned Blayre Turnbull, former Wisconsin graduate, by the way. I found out yesterday. Had a good chance. I can't remember if it was late in the third or early in the overtime. She had a really good one-timer, but just couldn't get all of it. However, I think what might be one of the best moments in Canadian hockey history, gets her medal when she's on the stretcher because she hurts herself in the midst of the celebration. By the way, I'm surprised injuries in the celebrations don't happen more often, but just the way they bring her out was like, there she is. She has the medal. She's going to the rest of the players. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, her skates off and like her ankle looks all messed up. It was so cool.
Yeah, it's those moments that make it, for me at least, even more special in a way, because they're literally blood, sweat, and tears and everything in putting everything into this tournament. And to win gold is win whatever. It doesn't matter. It is a special moment. And to see, you could see the joy on every single person's face on the ice for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
For Canada. Yeah, the emphasis for Canada.
So I thought I should add that.
If it's the States, we're just like, yeah, congratulations, and moving on. If the States won, it would have been like, so why are we deciding a tournament on 3-on-3 hockey?
Oh my goodness. The amount of times before the game I saw the shootout winner for the US, like the amount of times they replayed that everywhere.
Wait, what oh yeah.
On Shannon Sabados, like when she bit on the deke.
Well, it's been going back, I think, ever since the World Junior one, the Troy Terry goal. Since that, then the Zabados incident. Like, since then, it's always been this, like, why are we not just deciding this? And just, why don't we just go continuous 5-on-5 overtime, first goal, sudden death? Like, we should just do it. It's kind of like watching soccer. The hockey part of me is always like, why are we finally, doing this in penalty kicks? I don't like it. But I mean, again, Canada won, so we're like, okay, good.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly.
Unless it affects you, it doesn't matter. That's the mentality in sports.
Yes. I saw the tweet saying this is dumb unless Canada wins, and they delete the tweet. And guess what? The tweets are still up. So it's good. It's very good. By the way, Blayre Turnbull we're naming the episode after her because my goodness, hockey lore. I love it so much.
Also, in 4 months or 5 months, Olympics. So this will be remembered.
Good.
Which is exactly what we want, right?
We want the momentum going.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they didn't learn enough from the what was it, the 4 or 5-0 crashing the Americans had in the prelims. Didn't show up, didn't want it hard enough in the gold medal. Maybe they're giving them a better shot at the Olympics, but I doubt it because, I'm setting myself up here, but it's okay.
We know they will be there. Right?
Yep.
So,
well, I think Marie Philippou said in her post game, like, listen, the big one's still coming up.
Right. This was like the preliminary tournament, I guess, in their eyes. I mean, a win's a win, but it's the Olympics. That's the biggest stage of them all.
Honestly, the women on the international stage, like, we talk about the golden goal, obviously, but like the American Canadian games are honestly legendary. Like, every time they play, it's awesome. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's every time they play, it's sensational. Because they don't go silly and try and put, Justin Applicator on their teams for World Cups of hockey. Where's Phil Kessel at home?
Oof. But I just before we wrap this part up, unless there was more to say, but I think it's important. You brought it up earlier, and the same discussion was had after Canada won gold in soccer. That they're like, I hope watching this and the reaction on social media and, just all that stuff and what's been said about this team, like it brings the PA and this NWHL closer together in terms of trying to figure out what they're going to do. And I hope at the same time it wants the NHL should get involved. Like, I hope that's what happens.
It's funny you should mention that, Alex, because per Annalie Kaplan on Twitter, This is from the 29th of August. September 1st. Isn't that wild? School next week. It's been a moving target, but all signs point towards a decision next week on whether NHL players are going to the 2022 Beijing Olympics or not. Sources I've talked to suggest an agreement between the NHL, NHLPA, the AAHF, and the Olympic Committee is close, just down to some final items. And the NHL has plans for the All-Star game in Las Vegas either way. Doop-de-doop. The NHL players are going to the Olympics. They'll keep already released schedules with the 16-day Olympic break, and players will fly to Beijing on Sunday from Vegas. If NHL players aren't going, new schedules will be released. So, as of now, everything is pointing towards NHL players going to the Olympics, which is, again, just who doesn't want them at the Olympics? Who doesn't want the NHL players there?
Can I just say how happy I am to be wrong?
Yeah. We were doubtful for a while.
I mean, with cause.
Yeah, no, with cause, but like there's things that you don't want to be wrong about, and there's things you want to be wrong about. And this is one of the things I want to be wrong about. I'll put it in that category.
I was like in a gray zone with this. Just I didn't want to deny nor confirm my excitement of what was going to happen. So I'm just, okay, whatever happens, happens. And I don't know. Now we could, now I'm pretty happy that we could rehash and look back on our lists when the NHL season starts and just like kind of look at, okay, what stacks against what a potential team would look like and what our predictions were.
Yeah, I don't know if Dano's going to make it, but, I'll hold on to hope.
Remember, Patrick Sharp and Chris Kunitz made the Olympic team.
Yeah, well, there were certain people that are going to be rooting for Zach Hyman to get on there. So
he's our generation's Brendan Morrow.
I mean, Ken Holland's a Hockey Canada guy.
Well, I think Connor McDavid does the Sidney Crosby thing where it's like he has to have the line mate, like he has to have the Chris Kunitz on the Olympic team.
No offense, but who's the best? Who honestly was is Gensel Crosby's best ever line mate? Because I don't think to this point McDavid's had no offense to Josh Archibald, he's not Kunitz or Dupuis, right?
Are we
No.
Okay, the good thing though is in the projected lines this year that I saw for the Oilers. I know we're gonna go back to the Olympics, but the projected lines I saw where finally Josh Archibald is either an extra or he's on the fourth line. So, there is some degree of depth there.
That's really nice, I guess. But come back to me 20 games into the season and let me know where Josh Archibald's been playing.
Looking at Olympic rosters, the debate is already started when it comes to extra defensemen. There was a poll about who was it? It was, would you rather Pelech, Riley, Shabbat, and I can't remember the fourth defenseman. And the snub list, I mean, it's going to be because it's been so long since we had an actual legit Olympic roster. I don't think we've really seen how just visceral it can get, especially because if you have a guy like Morgan Riley there, all of a sudden you can drag in the Leafs fans into the argument, and that's what's going to make it so much fun. And then what about Darnell Nurse was the first one, yes. And then you get into a debate: is it Nurse or Riley? And then you have the Oilers coming, and it's going to be so much fun. I don't know.
And then you have Alex arguing for Justin Hall on the right side. I know. Exactly. That's when the argument gets there. Yeah.
That's what I'll be arguing.
Let's talk about this.
Yes.
Who's the more complete defenseman, Jake Muzzin or Morgan Riley?
Jake Muzzin.
Why does Muzzin not get enough love? Wasn't he on Team Canada for the World Cup?
Yeah, he was for a cup of hockey. Yeah.
Yeah, because he plays with Dow. He played with Dowdy.
He played 2 games, I think.
Seriously, it's a thought. It's a thought. If Bouwmeester was younger enough to be on this roster, you would think to yourself, would Colton Parayko be here because of Hockey Canada?
I think the one thing is I'd love Jake Muzzin, by the way. I really do love Jake Muzzin, but I think it's the only drawback I have with him is just the injuries.
I mean, yeah.
It has been consecutive. And I know they factor into that a lot because I remember when Ryan Getzlaf almost did not make the team. And then remember that they invited Jeff Carter. Yes. And then at the last second, Ryan Getzlaf's like, I'm okay. My doctor's in Anaheim shows it. And they're like, sorry, Jeff, I know we invited you to Vancouver, but you're going to be in the press box and you're not part of the team.
It's all right. It's all right. He got some cups out of it. He's all right. Jeff Carter had a decent career. Well, he's still around, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still playing.
It's very weird.
He got protected, remember?
I remember. I call it. Yeah. No one to brag or anything, but where are we? Anything else in the Olympics? Let's just who doesn't love Chad in the Olympics? Best on best. Why not? Who's the captain
for Canada?
Yeah,
Crosby.
Okay, good. We're agreeing with that. It's Sid.
If Crosby's on the team, he's the captain.
Yeah, he's the
captain. He could be
captain.
the extra forward in 4 years from now, and I'd still make him the captain. And
actually,
you know what I mean?
Sorry, a random fact. This actually almost happened for Vancouver Olympics. So what happened was before Scott Niedermayer was named captain in the training camp, they wanted to see if Joe Sakic was going to retire or not. And you're like, either way, however he plays, he makes the Olympic team. And then when he's like, nah, I don't want to, I'm retiring this summer. They're like, okay, Scott Niedermayer's the captain.
He could be like assistant coach. I'd still get them to put the C on his suit.
Yeah. Connor can have he can have an A if he wants, but he shouldn't be the captain yet. You imagine giving you have to think of having him and Sid next to each other in the locker room and not having Sid with the C. It's just wrong. Even the Rottweiler's crying about it right now.
Sorry, I have so many of these throwback Olympics facts.
Yeah, go ahead.
But 1998, Eric Lindros was named captain over Steve Yzerman, Wayne Gretzky. Who else was on that team? Yzerman, Gretzky, Sakic, and Messier.
That's wrong.
Because Bobby Clark was the GM of the team.
And there you go. I want to
nepotism to me.
Didn't Lindros towards his end of the time with Flyers get upset with Bobby Clark too?
Yeah, they
there's a history.
Yeah, there's a history there. But apparently they buried the hatchet during one of the Heritage Classics.
Yep. That the Rottweiler isn't a fan of Bobby Clark either. Okay. Or maybe he's barking because he knows we're about to talk about all these contracts the Islanders signed today. So it's been announced the Islanders have they threw out the 4 deals we were all waiting for. Parise is not among them, but Michael Russo tweeted out today, yeah, it's happening. We're just kind of waiting for some reason.
It's close, but not that close.
Apparently the contract hasn't been filed for some reason. Lou's just kind of sitting on it. No idea why, but
maybe there's a maximum of how many you can file in one day. That's hidden in the CBA.
He's had 3 months.
Yeah, but
what's he doing?
So it's an interesting thing. Apparently he's really big on taking as much time as possible. This is a thing he does. I heard the theory that he was trying to make moves and he didn't want other teams to know what his cap situation was. So he just didn't file the moves. Because they were in on Tarasenko, right? That was the theory.
Yeah.
Lou being Lou. Because I remember there are a lot of insiders before, people who worked with him, that this is according to a Michael Russo article, by the way, that he just, if something leaks, he pulls out of the deals right away.
Well, that happened 2 years ago, right?
That happened with Parise. That also happened with quite a while ago when I think Patrick Elias signed he wanted more money or something, and then he was going to sign his he was going to be as a restricted free agent. He was going to sign with the Rangers, but then when it leaked, then it was this whole thing where Lou was he was going to match it, but then he was not going to match it. And then afterwards they decided to go back to New Jersey. I don't know. It's the Lou Lamoriello powers.
If Schneider had leaked before the draft, that was going to get pulled too. Just that guy has something on some people. Anyway, though, looking at the contracts they announced today, one's a good contract, 2 are pretty bad, and one's debatable. And one you can probably guess.
So you put it in the doc, and I saw it. I'm like, okay, it was. I'm very curious to see which ones you put into what category.
Okay, I'll read out the facts and we can just get into it. Casey Zizekas at the age of 30 gets a 6-year deal.
No.
I mean, okay, listen. So what's funny about Casey Zizekas is this is going to sound really dumb, but he's an amazing bottom 6 player, apparently. We've seen that with the identity line, and even his WAR numbers are really, really good. It's for what he does. But it's just 6 years, 30 years old. The AAV is $2.5 million, $15 million total. Okay. So that,
a lot of money.
Okay. All right.
A lot of term, I think.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
on
Like,
cap friendly right now, and like the term that he's giving out to all of the Islanders players is insane.
Well, we're just-
How
we're-
so?
we're
How do
getting-
you
we're getting there.
how do you want to do this? You want to go deal by deal?
We could just, I mean, yeah, it's sure. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. What
Instead
more
of coming
do you want to say
back
about
to it.
Kazikis?
No, 'cause-
Because this is just a.
I think it's the term. I don't know if it was like cut in half. I feel like we can have a debate about it. It's just the 6 years is like
Just loves his guys like that.
it's a lot
was-
of term.
It was 5, but then Goudreau signed in New York, and it was like we gotta go.
Two things, by the way. I apologize if you hear an ice cream truck approaching.
That's okay.
Daniel,
Um,
my dogs have barked like 7 times. Already.
Okay.
It's fine.
Second
I
thing
hear it.
is, yeah, you hear it. Second thing is, I remember Lou Lamoriello talked about this when he was in New Jersey. I'll just wait for it to pass by.
You should get an ice cream.
Anyways, no, the show's too important to me. Anyways, I remember Lou Lamoriello said it before, again, when he was in New Jersey. He's like, I see my team as a family, and I see what really fits with the guys I want to keep around. This is not a perfect quote, but he said that he'd pay a third liner the same way he'll pay a first liner.
I mean, you know,
Clearly.
it's $1.5 million off of like. I mean, it's not far off. It's not far off. It isn't the difference between like this and Beauvillier isn't that bad. But like the next one that's a bit like okay, Ilya Sorokin signs a deal. It's $12 million for 3 years. The AAV is $4 million. He's played 22 regular season games in his career, 918 save percentage, pretty good. 922 in 7 playoff games. A lot of money for someone with minimal NHL experience. Shut up about the KHL, doesn't count.
Why not though? It has to
Mikko
count for
Koskinen?
something. Okay, Mikko. Yeah, but he came when he was 32 years old, 32, 33 years old. Ilya Sorokin is 26. He's been playing in the KHL since
You're saying Yaroslav
2013.
Askarov is not getting the experience he
Because
needs?
you know what it is with Sorokin is that I look at any Islanders goalie and I'm like, I don't care who's in net as long as they're not, you know, I don't know,
Rick DiPietro.
end of his career, Corey Schneider.
Oh yeah.
You can throw almost any goalie. What's weird is this is Sorokin's second deal, and he's
Yeah.
getting 4. Like we talked about, like the sort of it's the Shesterkin deal was weird. This one, it's you know now Sorokin's a few years older than Shesterkin. It's just I just don't get why you had to give him $4 million.
Maybe because they know
especially
something with Varlamov. I don't know. Maybe we don't know something in that because that guy's 33.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
have to look at this is my guess is how the agent walked into the negotiations and said, well, look at all the other contracts that just got handed out. Like I bet he called Lou and said, hey, Igor Shesterkin, how many games has Igor Shesterkin played?
It's not a lot more.
Not a lot more, right? And he just got, I'm looking for it right now. He got more than that,
Mhm.
but he still got a boatload of money.
Yeah.
That's
his
the
second deal of goalies. Yeah.
Right. Like that's the argument. Even Carter Hart got 3 years at whatever. And Carter Hart did not have a fantastic season. Whereas Ilya Sorokin, on the other hand, had a decent season. Yes. Okay. It was 22 games. Yeah. Yes. But it was still a decent season.
Is his agent Dan Milstein? So
you
here's how
have
the
the
negotiation went. No, I don't, but I'm
Oh,
just guessing
okay.
because he's
Ah.
Russian.
Okay.
That's not racist. That's like go look at Milstein's
It's-
clients. They're like all Russian. So what's kind of funny that I'm kind of like I'm imagining is his agent actually isn't. Who is it? Do you have it up? Who is his agent?
It's Dan Milstein.
It's Dan Milstein. or his agent is Vin Diesel, and he walked in. He's like, "Lou, you said we're a family, right?"
Oh my god!
I was thinking that exact thing.
So you're giving me $4 million, man. But it's just like whatever. You can give him. You just give him what it's any goalie with the Islanders. Like who cares? Like if they put a better than league average goaltending anyone. Again, I could be a Vezina finalist with them. It's just that's what I believe. But like whatever. It's better than like Ronta or Anderson. Less
Right.
risk.
I'm just scrolling through Dan Milstein's clients. I'm pretty sure all of them are Russian.
Yeah.
He knows
He's
his
the
market.
Russian guy. And all of them.
I'm pretty
All
sure
of
they
them.
also just tried kicking him out of signing, of bringing on KHL players to his agency. I think we talked about it on the podcast because he was taking all his KHL players and bringing them to the NHL, and the KHL was not a fan of that.
Sucks.
Yeah,
It really sucks. Question, is Kaprizov one of his clients?
No.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh.
I was gonna say maybe
No.
Kaprizov right now is how mad. Man, imagine if you're Milstein and you were Kaprizov's agent, and it was just like going back between the KHL. Oh, hello over there, Minnesota. How are you? Anyway,
Kaprizov has the same agent as Panarin and Bobrovsky and Varlamov.
is that one of the CAA? Who is it?
Paul Theophanos.
I don't know who that is. Okay. Well, next, Cal Palmieri. Okay, this one was a real. I can't believe when I was looking at the research for this. So Cal Palmieri at 30 also gets a deal, but it's only 4 years. Could be worse. $5 million is the AAV. It's $20 million total. So this is your, by the way, bad year in New Jersey, but the Devils are bad and his shooting percentage was awful. So this is your Jordan Eberle replacement. Now, I thought Eberle was younger than this. Kyle Palmieri is, let's say, younger than Jordan Eberle.
By a year, right?
No, yeah, by a year. Eberle was born in 1990. Palmieri was 91. I think it's because the only thing people really talk about with Eberle is his World Junior goal. Excuse me, that everyone just thinks he's eternally young. So what's funny about this is Eberle obviously had the better regular season than Devils, just talked about that. So, but Palmieri, we all know, had a wicked postseason. Eberle had 2 points more than him, but Palmieri had 3 goals more. If you wanted to know, now you do. Now, what's really funny about this is I was looking it up. So Eberle now in Seattle has 3 years left at $5.5 million. So Palmieri is cheaper, and technically being a year younger with 4 years, it's basically a wash of having Eberle. I just thought that was really weird. So, like, I went in thinking, like, the Palmieri deal was just a mess. But it's basically Jordan Eberle.
Right.
So
is this in your
no idea.
Is this in your like debatable category?
So, like, Cizikas is just bad because the term is just way too much. And, like, that whole line is known for hitting people. You're going to be bad. Shesterkin, I'm like, whatever. Like, it's like, whatever. Like, and Palmieri's like, I guess I'm wrong about it. Like, I convinced myself more and more reading. Because I'm just bewildered at the fact that Palmieri is younger than Jordan Eberle.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Okay. And we have one more, right?
So, a national hero. Anthony Beauvillier signs a 3-year deal. It's $4 million plus some change per AAV. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this. I was recently reminded of this, actually. Do you guys remember when Anthony Beauvillier randomly tweeted at Anna Kendrick saying hi?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Yes, I do.
And from there, this is an article from Russian Machine Never Breaks. Some of the replies, if you remember from this, from people. Hi, Tony. Thanks for buying me that donut at Tim Hortons the other day, and then holding the door for my grandma, and then shoveling the snow in front of her so she didn't get her feet wet, then replacing the snow after so people don't lose their jobs. Hey, Bo, the folks at NASA called. Looks like they're going to need you to save the world from another planet-ending asteroid. And yeah, I know it's getting old saving the world, but face it, you're our only hope. The entire world owes you. However, Anna Kendrick actually responded to it, saying, like, thank you, everyone, for telling these stories of this man. Oh, it's just hilarious. Like, beside that,
I like the guy a lot more now.
Like, yeah, like it's a good deal. 3 years. He's a great two-way forward. He can score in the top 6. But what really matters is that Anthony Beauvillier is a hero to all of us and an example of don't be afraid to shoot your shot, kids.
Yes. And you know what's a big thing about that too with him? He's also best friends with Matt Barzal.
That helps.
Yes.
So this is in your good category.
Yeah, it's a good deal. I remember I wanted Beauvillier on the Habs. So
it's like 24, right? 23, 24?
Yes. Yeah, 24. Yeah. 24.
Okay.
I don't mind it at all. Like, sure, it brings him to UFA, but like,
Who cares?
who cares? Like,
He's
you're
gonna get better. I think.
right. Exactly.
He's gonna get better.
He's 24.
People
Like,
don't walk away from Lou.
Oh, like literally the last 2 years. Did he not? He brought in PODGO 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
before the lockdowns. Yeah.
And signed him. He brought in Palmieri, and we all said there's no way he's going to be able to extend Kyle Palmieri.
Yep.
And he extended Kyle Palmieri. By the way, I'm pretty sure Travis Zajac is also going to come back to this team. Just a hunch.
What about Andy Green?
Isn't
Andy
he
Green
back?
he's already
Or did he retire?
signed.
He's
No,
already
no,
signed.
no,
Oh my
he's
gosh!
already
Wow, they're
signed.
keeping the
He's already signed.
the whole former Devils team there.
I don't know. Like this.
He knows who he knows. You know what I mean? Like he knows what he
Remember where it's
wants
like,
to bring in.
remember it was like they have to make a move because they got to re-sign Barzell, and he didn't make a move, and he re-signed Barzell.
Yeah.
By the way, before people say Tavares walked away from Lou,
No.
doesn't count.
Doesn't
Lou
count.
just got there, so don't even try and pull
So,
that.
so this team has 3 former Maple Leafs and 2 former Devils. A possible third one if Zajac comes back.
Okay, who is the Leaf that isn't Matt Martin?
Richard Panik.
Oh yeah. Leo Komarov is gone. I forgot.
Wait, what?
Leo
Where
Komarov's
did
not
Leo
there.
go?
Right?
No, he's there. He's
He's there. So
He
wait,
has
there's
one
3
more
then,
year.
right? So there's 3 then.
That's what I said. 3.
Oh yes, 3.
Yeah,
Sorry, you
yeah.
said 2 Devils. Yeah.
Yeah,
2 Devils.
Palmieri and
Andy Green.
Andy Green.
You said it. You said it.
That's I can't. Okay,
Actually,
Lou
it'll be
Lamoriello.
4. It'll be 4 Devils because he has to sign Zajac and Parise.
Oh yeah.
Oh god,
I forgot about Parise.
Fun fact about those 2 players.
Let's hear it.
So they were supposed to go lower in the draft, but Lou loved them so much he traded up for both of them. So in 2003 for Parise and then 2004 for Travis Zajac.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
Good for him. He knows what he's doing. He's a funny GM. I wouldn't say that to his face because he probably had me kidnapped, but
Probably. I
Knows what
wouldn't
he's
say
doing.
that to his face either.
he probably knows this conversation's happening right now.
Imagine in 30 seconds, this call's going to end.
If you see someone with a trench coat and the fedora outside your window, guys, that's probably someone the Islanders have sent after you to make sure that you're behaving. Make sure that you all have the same hairstyle and you've shaved and no individuality at all. Okay. We have some more news regarding signings. These are more extension talks. First off, the Carolina Hurricanes, those cheeky bastards, have extended RFA, not Evgeny, that's the wrong one, Andrei Svechnikov, their former second overall pick, the one before KK. Funny enough. 8-year deal, it's worth $62 million. That makes the AAV $7.750 million. I think it's a little rich, in my opinion, but it was a big deal that they needed to get done. It seemed to be that he was going to bet on himself and finish out the season. That's exactly what he did. And he scores goals, which is pretty good. Pretty important.
I like it.
I don't mind the AAV just because it's 8 years. And it's like, within how many years could he potentially surpass that salary bracket? I mean, it could be sooner rather than later. That's if it was less than 8 years, we're having a different conversation. But I think this one is down the road. This is going to look like a very good deal. And it brings him to 29 years old.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he's just going to keep getting better. And the fact that he's getting less than 8 million right there is amazing for the Hurricanes, who are somehow still trying to find ways how to fit everybody there. And again, he came in at the perfect time where, they had all those defensemen coming up, and the big thing that they always talked about with the Hurricanes is they need goal scoring, and then they were gifted him.
It's a new Jeff Skinner, if you think about it. Jeff Skinner was the only guy in Carolina who could score forever.
Not that Eric Stahl and
yeah, but those last few years, he wasn't Eric Stahl anymore.
Justin Williams 4 times.
Yeah. Justin Williams. Man, they've this thing with Carolina, besides Ron Francis, because everyone kind of forgets he ever played the game of hockey. beside him, it's like Brindamore, really good player, an all-time great, no. Williams, like great playoff performer, good player, superstar, no. They just have a lot of those kind of guys. Eric Stahl, not really a Hall of Famer, but he could probably sneak in there one day because of like the family legacy that family's gonna have. But I don't know. I mean, you won't pay your super duper defenseman, but your offer sheet underperforming young centerman. That's just me though. But who am I?
Eric
I'm not
Stahl, I believe Eric Stahl will get into the Hall of Fame the same way Dave Andrewchuk did.
How's that?
The longevity, he had those really high scoring seasons, and he never had an individual award, but he had everything else.
I'm gonna be honest with you and say I think Andrewchuk's a bit above Eric Stahl.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I guess
doesn't Andrewchuk have 600 goals?
I think adjustment for era.
No, that doesn't.
No? Okay.
I don't. They played together, didn't they? Maybe not the same team, but there must have been maybe some overlap, a year or two, maybe.
Like by 1 year, because Andrewchuk played one more year before he retired after the cup.
None of this era. No, that doesn't count. No.
Dave Andrewchuk had 640 goals.
That's 600 should get you in the Hall of Fame alone. 600 goals. Oh, that's wicked. 700's pretty good. 800. See if someone gets there sometime soon. Alex Ovechkin. But yeah, Svechnikov. All right. I think while we're here, we should quickly take a little pit stop about the offer sheet. You think you're cool with that, guys? Quickly.
Offer sheet watch.
Yeah. So I think the Habs have till Saturday.
Yeah.
But apparently on Sportsnet 590, Eric Engel said, obviously, guy covers the Habs. Great guy. Right now, I think the most likely scenario is that's being the Habs, are going to let him walk, being Kotkaniemi, and replace him via trade. I do happen to believe they've identified a primary target here, and it is Christian Dvorak out of Arizona.
Confirmed. Mark Bergevin listens to the 2-on-1 podcast. I'm just going to say it right now.
Give me it up. Give me Christian Dvorak. The former London Knight, former teammate of Mitch Marner. I saw people saying, hey. And Domi, yeah, right.
And Max Domi,
Yeah.
I saw people saying, hey, the Leafs should go get Christian Dvorak. I was
Put him where?
How does that work?
And I said, with what money?
And I said, how about this? When the Habs get him, you can have him, but I want Austin Matthews the other way. And then you would say, no, that's silly. And that's what I would say to you, saying the Leafs should get Christian Dvorak. And there we are.
Yep.
We're at a crossroads.
Not to mention, he's like a top 6 centerman. Like, listen, if you wanted that kind of player to be your third line center, then because that's where he's best utilized, then it would be Kadri scenario. He's just not in his best position to be used there. Remember Kadri?
Yeah, I do. I remember complaining.
He's on your Olympic team, right?
Yeah, he was on my meme fourth line. It was Deneau because defense bull crap. It was Mark Stone because he should have been there, and Kadri because he's difficult to play against. And he would take someone out and we'd be good. Yeah, he'd be suspended for the entirety of the tournament, but that wouldn't affect his NHL stuff, and they would have an extra forward. So if you're going to do a shutdown line properly, you do it properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, what do Canada need? More scoring? No, they're gonna. No,
they got plenty of scoring.
They're like Nathan McKinnon could be a third liner. What are we doing? Arguably, the second or third best player in the world could be in the bottom 6 for Team Canada. Can we just have that? Anyway, where were we? Svechnikov, or we moved on from there?
We were on the offer sheet.
Oh yeah, so that's what's going on. Dvorak looking like he's going to be a Hab. That's going to be pretty fun.
What's the package for him, Adam?
A first and a third, obviously. I saw people on Twitter saying that there was this thing of one they wanted maybe something around the Kemper deal. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I've completely forgotten the fact that I still thought Kemper was a member of the Arizona Coyotes for some reason. And that was obviously a first. There was a young prospect.
Connor Timmins, yeah.
It was Connor Timmins. So if you're Montreal, you're giving them the first and the third, obviously. I don't know who the young player is. Maybe it's someone more exciting than Gianni Fairbrother, but
Jan Mishek.
I wouldn't be surprised. I hope not, but you know,
There's a list.
Captain check.
There's a list of names to choose from.
yeah, there's some good prospects there still.
Yes, Ilonen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hope not, but if there's one prospect, aka someone who hasn't played an NHL game, for people who are like, is Caulfield? No, shut up. If there's one prospect I don't want them to trade, is Matisse Norlander. That's a guy I'm really excited to see. Anyway, more signing news.
Yeah.
This is a big one, and this is one that I'm very worried about. This team. That's the St. Louis Blues. So today they have extended Colton Parayko. He gets $1 million raise, which is actually kind of interesting. I think if you sign a right-handed defenseman for less than $9 million a year in this economy, it's almost a win automatically.
Right.
Full 8 years, he'll be 37 by the time it's up. Oh, the Arizona Coyotes are gonna. The Houston Coyotes by then are gonna have some great players. So here's what is really worrying me about this contract. Right, I talked to this about with you guys in the group chat. Ignore the whole sentence of that structure I just said. I know it was awful. Sorry. Here's how I look at St. Louis right now. They're almost like the new Minnesota in a sense, where they have a bunch of really, really good players, like some great players, but they don't have a superstar anymore, right?
Yeah.
They have a goalie where it's like for a couple years
trust.
it was like Dubnik's good, but it's like, do I trust Evan Dubnik? No. Do I trust Jordan Binnington? Not really. I don't think did any of us have him on our Olympic rosters?
No.
Exactly. So Binnington is locked up until the end of time. He's until 2027. Okay, right? So forward wise, a really underrated long-term deal until 2028 is Braden Shen, who is already 30 years old. Brandon Saad, they just kind of added for no reason. Fine deal, but it's like, okay, Brandon Saad's around because we couldn't get Gabriel Landeskog. Cool. They didn't need another 8-year deal that was going to be awful for the back half of it anyway. And then what really concerns me on defense is they still have 3 more years of Marco Scandella at $3.2 million. And then they've got 3 defensemen after this year signed at $6.5 million. Justin Falk, who was never the best defenseman in Carolina and is the reason they lost Alex Pietrangelo. Torrey Krug, who was never the best defenseman in Boston, but a complimentary player. And now Colton Parayko, who since taking responsibility with Pietrangelo being gone, has never quite been the same. Not to mention he's had back injuries, which, hello, Jake Gardner.
Right.
I'm not saying he's Kevin Shattenkirk levels of how exposed he was when he went to Washington, but I'm just concerned overall with the structure of this team. And do they actually have that player that puts them over the edge now? Like, what the big question I'm having here with St. Louis. And again, Krug, Falk, and Parayko, the deal, oh my God. Falk and Krug are both up at the end of 2027 as well.
Right. I agree with everything. I agree with everything you're saying, but I just don't see the Parayko deal as the problem. I see it, I think the same way you do, in that it shined a light on the fact that this team, it could be the new Minnesota if they trade Vladimir Tarasenko. But of those 3 defensemen who make $6.5 million, for me at least, I would pick Colton Parayko of those 3 if I had to pick one. But that's just me. Like, I've kind of been attached to Colton Parayko for a couple of years now, and I'm not moving off that.
William Nylander for Colton Parayko rumors?
Yeah, we were all thinking. The moment I saw this extension, I thought of Nylander to the Toronto effects.
I kind of agree that I really like Colton Parayko. I think that he is a bit of a stability guy. I know that he's not a number 1 or even a number 2 on this team, but again, like when I'm looking at these deals and I'm looking at what the Blues are, and again, I'm not trying to just, get on Jordan Binnington's case. Remember, I'm probably his biggest fan on the show, but the way I see
saying that, but you just made a conversation about 3 defensemen into what I think is about to bash poor Jordan Binnington.
No. It's about the Blues, where they just didn't have that factor that they had after the Cup win. If you know what I'm talking about, where they just didn't have it with what they were doing in terms of the decision making to look like a team that could repeat or a team that can consistently get there, like, you know, a 2010 Chicago Blackhawks or even like a Tampa Bay Lightning. I know the Lightning had different circumstances, but with the Blues, it's just they had the opportunities to add these things everywhere. They had an opportunity to give Alex Pietrangelo his extension, but they still kept doing this where they look like a team that last year was exposed by the Colorado Avalanche. And then what did they do? Like their biggest thing is they get Brandon Saad, who is a great two-way guy, but he's not going to help your scoring. And you're going to lose Vladimir Tarasenko no matter what.
And fair enough. They also got Pavlovich.
Yeah,
they did. But that, I don't know. I'm still kind of. I just want him to prove me wrong with the extension they gave him.
The thing for me, I think, is this project of the St. Louis Blues started going downhill the moment they brought in Justin Falk. Not because Justin Falk's a bad player. Like, I think most teams would be more than content having Justin Falk on their team. Like, he's a good right-handed defenseman. I can't see any reason not to have him on the team. But you right away sign him to an 8-year extension. Was it 8 or 7 years extension? And then you kind of throw Alex Pietrangelo under the bus and are lowballing him. It's like, well, okay, who would you rather have, Justin Falk or Alex Pietrangelo for $2 million more? Like, I think it's an easy answer. It's Alex Pietrangelo.
By the way, Falk got a 7-year deal, and I believe he was traded for, so that's the max they could have given him.
Okay. So like, I think that's when things, in my eyes, started to go downhill, is when that decor kind of evaporated.
To correct myself, I think there's a scenario if they had waited until after the deadline, maybe they could have given 8 years, like with San Jose and Erik Karlsson. But remember, they gave it to him not long after they got him as insurance for Alex Pietrangelo.
Wasn't it on the same day?
It might have been a sign and trade, yeah. But you know what I mean, right? They very clearly got him there and then just in case, because you can imagine if things got more publicly ugly with Pietrangelo as the season went on, Falk's number would have gone up and up and up and up. It's just, I just worry for the long term that if Parayko doesn't sort of go back to his sort of 2015 to 19 self, as I saw some war charts talk about. And listen, no one on this podcast wants to prove, some advanced numbers wrong more than me. It's just, I worry that if he doesn't get back to that plateau, they have 3 complementary defensemen running their back end. And that's what I get worried about with St. Louis. And man, it also, like, they did get a little unlucky, not with Pietrangelo, that was their fault, but that for like 3 straight seasons, Tarasenko didn't have 2 good shoulders, and he was like their driving force on offense, like former 40 goal guy, like peak Tarasenko was yucky good. Remember, he was like a 91 in the NHL games.
I remember that.
He was good. Yeah.
Was it the cover?
Yeah, he was.
That got to him?
Yeah.
No, that got to him.
And there it is. There's the transition. Speaking of the covers, for the second time in his career, Austin Matthews is on the cover of the NHL games. Now it's for NHL 22. And what I don't like is how lazy the cover looks. Like, it looks kind of like the same style of it as like last year. And like people, like, obviously, I'm a big video game guy. We all are. So the Generation 4 Pokemon remakes are coming out in November, right? And the covers are awful. If you know, like, the minimal thing of design, like, it's a big deal. Like, games get ripped apart for that stuff very easily. And it's like, forget what you think about the cover athlete. We can argue about McDavid versus Matthews all day, and Alex and I can get red in the face about it. Probably. But, like, put some effort into the freaking, not to mention Matthews looks like a box in it. It's a very awkward and very just it looks like there was no effort put into it. It was just a photo of him that they, and there it is.
Yeah, like for 2020, I remember. Okay, so I never actually bought the NHL games for a long time until I became friends with you guys. You guys kind of convinced me to get back into it.
I'm sorry
about that.
Yeah,
no, that's okay. And like 2020, like I actually liked that one. Like the color palette they had, where it was always pink for some reason in everything with that one. And I thought that was cool. And I thought, okay, I got to get this one. And Austin Matthews, like, when's the next time a Leaf is going to be on the cover?
2 years later.
Yeah, 2 years later.
Hold on. I'm going to get the 2021 up. So just so we can, but yeah, it's Matthews, but it's like this purplish background, right?
Yeah,
there it is.
That's 20, yeah.
And then let's just go to the 2021 cover. And there's Ovechkin, and you can kind of see the style of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you go to 2022. And then it's just
the same thing.
It's a photo. It's just him walking down the Leafs tunnel with like the title of it. It's not even a cover. It's just a photo. That's not how this is supposed to work. And there's the concept art. It's like, here's Matthews taping the butt of a stick. Like, what? The saw is more like, it almost grabs your eye more. That's out of focus than, Matthews.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually an eyesore.
So ugly.
Gary Gould would be mad.
Rip this thing apart.
Yes.
He would be.
It's not fantastic.
Why is there
Fabulous.
concept art of Jack Hughes? Anyway, but you see what I mean? Like, that's awful.
So which version are you guys getting?
When
The
it's
X
on
Factor edition?
Whichever one is on sale.
Yeah.
Okay, can you just repeat, what is the X Factor edition? Like, why is
I
it
don't
an
know.
X Factor?
They'll probably give you like the free packs for HUD and then just some random thing from World of Chell that no one's ever going to use. And it's just, it's so disappointing.
In GM mode, no matter what, you can't get Mitch Marner off Austin Matthews' line. Like, it's just like, that's the feature.
That one hurt a little bit.
Sorry.
That stung.
Otherwise,
That stung.
they go back to Zurich for a year and you
That
lose them.
stung. That stung. Yeah, sorry.
So-
Back.
What's worrying about this is, so I feel like it's almost like people on Twitter don't know what they're talking about. So
What?
everyone was like, hey, new engine, right? So here's the problem if you don't know a thing or two about EA. Okay, listen, I've been doing a lot of stuff on game engines lately, right? Like just like watching a lot of stuff, reading some stuff. For those of you who don't know, a game engine is almost like the foundation upon you build your game, graphics and that. A game doesn't necessarily need a new engine. So, for example, the GTA like Rockstar, have used the same engine for like more than a decade. Like this random ping pong game they had back in the day. Maybe even the Bully series is the same one that GTA 5 and Red Dead use. And look how great those games look, right? It just takes developers to continuously sort of update and make that engine more suitable. Now, the big problem with the Frostbite engine, just because it sounds like wintry doesn't mean this is exclusively for an NHL game. This is what EA use across all their games. It was originally used, I think, for the Battlefield franchise from DICE, which EA then acquired. So this is an engine that is now used across all EA games. In fact, NHL are extremely late to the party of using it.
Yeah.
And it's originally used for first-person shooter games.
Oh, is
Now,
it Frostbite, right? Yeah.
It's Frostbite. Now,
Yeah.
normally you will see the improvements maybe right away. And we'll talk about like the gameplay stuff seems to be very mixed. But year 2, 3, 4, sometimes the graphics even get worse. And the gameplay stuff, again, how can you have legitimate expectations that it's going to be game-changing when the engine for a company that for certain franchises tunes out the same thing year after year is going to be sort of edited to the point and fine-tuned where your mind's going to be blown about it. It's extremely unlikely. It was a bit like, just Twitter. Like, calm down, people. Calm down.
It was just disappointing when they released the gameplay trailer and there was like 30 seconds worth of gameplay, and that 30 seconds worth of gameplay, like I don't know what it was. It did not look good at all. Like it didn't. Like it was just, and it's like I get it's for a first person shooter. That's what the engine was created for. But FIFA's been using this engine for like 3 or 4 years. And the last game they just put out, like FIFA 21, even FIFA 20, there was like considerable steps forward in terms of like how it looked and the way the players interacted with the ball. Like it's just like, how do you just screw this up this bad? And now FIFA's using a different engine. Like NHL is now still an engine behind.
Now, what's even more funny about that is technically the two parts of EA that work on the FIFA games are EA Vancouver and EA Romania. Now,
What?
who works on
I
the
didn't know
NHL games? Yeah. So, and who works on the NHL games?
Vancouver.
So, developers that can clearly see it didn't work for one franchise are now going to the very, very bottom of the rung, aka the NHL games. Now, I'm pretty sure I think it's the president of EA right now is the guy who introduced the Ultimate Team system originally in FIFA, aka the money-making scheme. So if you think his Golden Boy franchise wasn't going to get all the love and like best sort of features here, what the heck do you think the NHL franchise is going to get? It's not. I don't think either of us are going to pay full price for this. We're going to wait till it goes on sale a month later, and it's just disappointing. And even like the beta stuff has been mixed. Like gameplay, it's a little clunky, but the menus look nice.
I don't care about the menus. The menus are like the last thing I think about.
It's just funny that like that's the improved part that we've seen so far.
I saw a quote about GM Connected because I think someone asked one of the developers. It's the guy, I don't remember his name, but it's the guy who always goes around and does interviews around this time of year. I can't remember his name, but someone asked him about GM Connected and they're like, it's in the works or whatever. Like he gave some generic answer. I'm like, it's been in the works since it came out of the game.
So what the quote was something along the lines of, this generation, we were focused on adapting to Frostbite, paraphrasing obviously. But GM Connected is something that is in the long-term plans, I believe was around what he said. Yeah. Which is like, okay, cool.
What does that mean?
We didn't have time to work on it, but we want to bring it in. I guess
they've been saying that for years.
We'll see what happens. That's what they said.
It's an ongoing story, a story to keep an eye on.
What happens first? We get GM Connected or the Leafs win around? Like I'm dead serious.
So
I mean,
Leafs win
have
around.
a chance this year.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't hear what you said.
They have I mean, the Leafs have the next shot. The games are already coming out, so
Yeah.
I mean,
it's actually in the works.
Yeah, it's an ongoing. It's something that they're fine-tuned now.
Yeah. Try to make me feel better. Thank you.
I don't know. It's a good question, but law of averages say the Leafs. It's just weird, man. And you talked about the gameplay trailer. More than 2 minutes of actual trailer. No gameplay. So but X Factor. The stupid X Factor thing, it's like, so Matthews is known for his curl, drag, and shoot. It's like, okay, so what's the point of the attributes of a player then, if not just to make them do certain moves a little better? Like, shouldn't Ovechkin have the best, like, slap shot one-timer in the world, like him and Weber? Because they're the ones who can actually shoot, and that, not have, like, Patrick Laine, even though I don't think he's ever taken a slap shot in his life, because it's just wristers. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. That's just me, though. That's just me.
I think that's a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I'm probably exaggerating about the Laine one-timers. He's known more for that, like, wrister, like, 20 feet out. You know what I'm saying?
I think he's a power forward.
They wish.
Depends on who you ask.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they had him classified as one. Because, they seem to hate the way it works. Jeff Petrie, still defensive defenseman, by the way. Timothy Liljegren, still an elite potential, by the way. Gotta love that. Jack Eichel,
legend.
Yeah, he's up there with like who's it, like Alex Sorella, who was always like a referee agent you could sign. He turned into like an 84, and he'd be wicked good. Who's pretty wicked good though is Jack Eichel. He switched agents. He's away from Peter Fish in that, and he switched over to CAA specifically with Pat Brisson. If you don't know, the two, I would say, biggest agents in the league, aka when it comes to value of contract, is really it's Pat Brisson and JP Barry. Now, like, the Newport group is obviously there, but I will tell you this: Pat Brisson, for those of you who do not know, is the agent for some of the following names in the league. You may have heard of a few of these guys, actually. John Tavares, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Anze Kopitar. I'm pretty sure of those were like the first 3 double-digit in terms of $1 million contracts in the league. You may have heard of Claude Giroux. You may have heard of Sidney Crosby. You may have heard of Nathan McKinnon, Seth Jones, and oh, by the way, Tyson Barrie is up there as well. Tony DeAngelo is there. He has a lot of the young American players, Turcotte, Caulfield's up there as well, Trevor Zegras. They're a pretty well-known group over there. Is J.P. Barry Matthews' agent? Or am I misremembering that?
I'll search it up.
Because it's not Gary Johansson. Anyway, the way you can kind of maybe interpret this is Eichel clearly didn't see any progress being made with Peter Fish in that. Even though it seems like they did everything they could, like the statements and that. And maybe he goes over to an agent in Pat Brisson who, if he can't get it done, no one will. And by get it done, I mean work something out with the Sabres, because we're getting closer and closer to the start of the season. And it really looks like Eichel, even if he gets his surgery, is going to miss the beginning of the season.
It was It's Judd Moldover.
The hell is Joe? I don't know why I thought it was JP Barry, but whatever.
He also has Yossi Worensky, Carter Hart, Jake Bean.
Anyway, on Brisson. By the way, the people who are like, hey, so Pat Brisson's a great friend of Marc Bergevin. John Tavares went so well, didn't it, guys? Remember the meeting he didn't give Montreal? I do. I've never gotten over it.
Did he give Dallas a meeting?
I think he did. Dallas always get one. It's like
Wow.
Dallas, Boston, and like a Californian team always get in there. It's really weird.
It was San Jose, right?
It was San
Yeah.
Jose. This is how I remember it. San Jose, Dallas, Toronto. I believe Boston was in there too.
Yeah,
And Tampa
Boston.
Bay for whatever reason.
it's Tampa.
I'm like,
Like
I don't know how
And
that
he
would
turned down the $13 million
from San Jose.
yeah, and then they just gave it away to Eric Carlson because why not? I still don't think it doesn't feel like anything's happening with like he's at the BioSteel camp right now, not getting
In
traded
Montreal.
to Montreal.
He just says, I'm not leaving.
I
hope
can't
so.
believe that happened in the middle of last episode.
Yeah.
We're just talking
Same.
about it. It was just hilarious.
And then my voice just gets higher and higher because
Like,
Jack
oh,
Eichel's a hab.
We need a Jordan Belford meme where it's like, I'm not leaving.
Not
I'm
leaving.
not leaving.
I ain't leaving.
This is such a nightmare of a situation, like for everyone, for literally everyone. It's just he doesn't want to be there. The team wants to trade him. He's injured. They won't let him get the surgery now. Like I think it was Friedman reported that there was literally a meeting between everybody, the league, the PA, him, the doctors. Like, how could this get worse?
He's not going to report to camp, right?
Probably not.
Ooh.
Well,
is
if you
he gonna
don't want
play?
him, well, here's the thing: if you're Eichel and you're still having whatever symptoms he's having,
Right.
he's going to refuse to play. Not to I think that the Sabres, the big concern you would have with them, and you know what, Kevin Adams was probably like, "Well, happy to have him back." Remember Duchesne? Remember how upset he was at Colorado Avalanche camp, and there's that famous picture of him looking like he just wants to die.
I'm
Do you want that with Eichel?
if he's injured, I can't see him. I can see him showing up to camp, but not playing, because if he doesn't show up to camp and they make this a big deal, then it becomes, well, he's suspended without pay. And then that's also not a good look. Like, it's just, all this stuff piles up.
You also had limited activity at the BioSteel camp. Not to mention, I think you have to be pretty committed and pretty convinced to get a surgical disc artificial thing in your neck. At some point, if they want to trade him, if he's still hurt and unable to play properly at the start of the season, you're not going to get value. But then, if you had just gone ahead with the surgery when they wanted to get the surgery, he'd be set for camp. even if you don't get a deal done, you'll then at least have in the beginning of the season for him to play his heart out, get the value back up, see people see that it's Jack Eichel, and then get your king's ransom. But no, you've done this. You could have had
everything.
You could have had Jesper Kotkaniemi, guys, but now it's not going to happen.
Like I'm really curious at how much reluctance there is, because clearly they're valuing Jack Eichel, and rightfully so. They're valuing Jack Eichel as the player he was before he had this injury, and he still has this injury, right? Mm-hmm. But the teams are like, well, he's not. We don't value him the same way, which is like some teams, the whole Rangers thing that got leaked. It's like insanity about the players they weren't willing to give up, but that's a separate story. If I'm the Sabres, this all could have been done by now. He's clearly still injured. And if he comes back and is over a point per game in the first 10, 15 games, there we go. His value's back. And I'm sure a team would be more than happy to pony up. I think a lot of it is that the fact that he's going to come back, you're going to trade him now while he's still injured. He may or may not get the surgery depending on the team he's traded to. And then he's out another 4 to 6 weeks, and we're a month away from the season starting.
Buffalo Sabres, guys. The Buffalo Sabres.
They don't know what they're doing.
I know they know what they're doing. It's just they're making the wrong decisions. Just trade him already. It's just do the best thing for him. Don't make him crossing the border. Like, honestly, guys, just let him stay in Montreal. They're building new condos everywhere. It's trust me. I think he'd enjoy it there. Just do him a solid. You want Shea Weber's contract? He'll be like a coach or something. I don't know. Paul Byron, good character guy. Why not? Great guy. Moving on. You know who's not a great guy? Mitchell Miller. And I'll tell you who else is not great. Whoever runs the Tri-City Storm. Who are the Tri-City Storms? They are not the Tri-City Americans of the WHL. Let's get that very clear. The Tri-City Storm are a USHL team, which, if you're not familiar, that's sort of where American or just players mostly in the States go before they hit the collegiate route. They are also the team that Mitchell Miller played for his draft year before he was famously picked by the Coyotes, and then his rights were renounced days later. Go listen to that episode. But if you kind of want a quick recap, he bullied one of his bullying is a simple way of putting it. To a disabled classmate of his, unspeakable things. And the Coyotes basically got caught with their pants down almost about the whole thing, didn't have a real response for it. And it was kind of the thing that Mitchell Miller needs to go back and sort of learn a lesson. The lesson has not really been learned, because when almost talked about the incident, he almost described it as an inconvenience to I think his name was Isaiah Maya Crothers was the kid he bullied. You can also tell that because it's the same team that drafted him, that they don't care, because they must have known about this either if they did a background check on it before either. Because he did this, again, reminder, he went to juvie. It's a sad day for the sport that he's back and playing again. And again, seems like there is no remorse.
It's the quote, man. That's what hit me. It was the quote from a couple weeks ago or last week. I think you sent it to me, Adam. And there's clearly no, I don't know what the word is. It just feels like there's no understanding of the wrongdoing here, or he understands it and doesn't care. Which might be even worse than, honestly, is probably worse than not understanding, is knowing it and not caring. So that's what gets me, is that he didn't, it didn't feel like he was remorseful at all. Like didn't feel there was he was apologetic for what he did. And that's the thing, is if he came to camp and he's like, I called him up. I called this what's his name, Isaiah, and I apologized to him, and I did this and I did that. We're having a completely different conversation, but he did it. Mm-hmm. And then he said that. Like, imagine saying that out loud.
So the way it was set up, so in the press conference, he called his bullying conviction an inconvenience to the team. And then also, this is an SB Nation article. Later on, it's basically, this is after signing Yanni or Joni. Sorry, God, some of the hockey players here, like you think about like some names, like especially like the Scandinavian ones where they don't pronounce the J, but Joni Mayer Carruthers, who is I believe the mother of Isaiah, told The Athletic again that the family has not received an apology from Miller, who was court ordered to give a written apology, but has not actually verbally given one. So this, again, the thing of remorse is still a massive question.
Yeah, I think for this is just what Alex said. There is a process, and he was been given a full NHL season, or within a year, like more than a year actually, to really see at what he had to do in terms of really reconciling the situation. And it starts with a real apology. It starts with really showing that sense of remorse, and just going to his victim and saying like, sorry, this is what happened. But no, what he said a few weeks ago is, again, it's also what got me as well, that there isn't some form of, he didn't change from where he was previously. And the fact that he was still given this opportunity, even though that nothing's changed, it's bad. It's like, it's a bad look both for the Coyotes, and again, it's a bad look both for the league as well. And the way Tri-City was able to do this and just overlook all of this, because I have never heard of something before where you get renounced your NCAA scholarship and your junior team still takes you back when it's been a previous situation like this.
They'll see him almost as an overager. So he'll naturally, like, even with a year off, I'm sure he was skating in that. This is another sort of quote that came out of this. A bit more of an expanded one about Miller and the whole incident. Quote, I was unable to reach out to them after the incident. This is to the family, to Isaiah and all that. But I think eventually I would definitely reach out and obviously say I'm sorry for all the inconvenience I caused when we were 14 with their family and the child. I mean, every part of that statement is awful. Like not mentioning the name, the like inconvenience. I would definitely reach out and obviously say. I mean, it feels almost like it's so juvenile. It's sassy almost.
I don't know. I don't know what to say, because it caught me so off guard. The quote, when you sent it to me, caught me completely off guard.
You think it's from a troll, like, meme account almost.
Like, it's just like, this isn't, I don't know how to take in that information, because it's been what you mean eventually. What does that mean? Like, it's when you were 14. How old is he now? 20, 21, 19?
Must be 19, max 20.
It's been 5 years.
Not to mention, 6. After the whole the hoopla, he's still 19. He'll be 20 in December. Not to mention, with all the hoopla last year, a year ago for the draft, did you not think, listen, if there's a time I really have to go all out and really try and apologize and reach out, it would have been the past 12 months?
I'm curious at what was so important that he was doing that this just couldn't be done, because it's not like this would have been difficult. It really wouldn't, because it seems like from the other side that they're more than willing to hear it out. Like, this isn't a case of, I don't want to talk to the person. This is a case of, we are sitting here waiting. Like, there's no confusion going on here. Like, this is very simple, what the bare minimum that you have to do. And it's been years, and let alone the last 12 months, you haven't done it.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's hard to turn off of this, but and again, last thing is, if you're any USHL team, much less the team that should know him the best, like the Storm, and knowing that there was no apology and you bring him back, like, shame on everyone involved. Shame on everyone involved. Thomas Hertl is a name that's been out there for the past couple of days. Apparently, this is from Kevin Kerr's article on The Athletic. paraphrasing quickly here. It looks to be that there's a real possibility that Thomas Hertel may want out of Arizona. Not Arizona, sorry.
I don't say.
Yeah, I mean, the mess is all over the place. Out of San Jose, because he is one of a few players that is not happy with the Evander Kane situation, all that around the room. Again, if you think about it, Thomas Hertel has been around that team for a long time. He's not as young as you think, Thomas Hertel.
27 now, right?
Yeah, it feels
2012,
like
right?
now.
Yeah.
Like he would have been a big part of that, like the real Marlowe, Thornton, Prime, Vlasic, like Paul Martin days, right?
Not the prime minister.
No, not the defenseman. The defenseman.
Yes.
Now, listen, I think everyone got a little excited with this. He has a year left on this deal, so extension talks, you would imagine. It's also said in this Kurz article that he's not being shopped. Doug Wilson's made that very clear. However, it is more, and there's been stuff coming out about Evander Kane that we've purposely not talked about because it's starting to come more of just hockey, and there's almost this gossipy TMZ vibe to it that we're not going to dive into talking about it. The only reason we're talking about this is because it's Thomas Hertel may wanting out, and Thomas Hertel is probably one of the more underappreciated players in this league. His two-way game is great. He's really hit his offensive stride the past couple of years. This is a guy who, honestly, if he got $8 million on the open market, I wouldn't be surprised. And not to mention, when it comes out and the Habs are looking for a centerman, you knew it was going to blow up, and we kind of had to talk about it. But let's be honest here, guys. If you have to choose between losing Thomas Hertel or bringing in Evander Kane, overall better players, it's Hertel, regardless of off-ice stuff.
Yes.
But I think the bigger thing to say here is the Sharks need to move on from Evander Kane yesterday at this point, because now you're starting to lose core players. And he's not a young player, but he's still got a great lot of years left in him. Yeah. And if this sort of bleeding effect to the younger parts of the roster continues, you don't want Evander Kane around William Eklund.
No,
absolutely not.
No, two things. First, I don't know how you get rid of Evander Kane. No one's trading for that. That's more than clear.
It's a huge buyout.
The only way he's leaving is buyout or some type of mutual termination, which I also don't think is going to happen, because why would he terminate the contract? I wouldn't even be surprised if he's playing in October, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's a separate discussion. Secondly, to me, from the way I read the article, to me, it sounds more like he has an issue with the way management handled it. And if that's the way he's thinking, is even getting rid of Evander Kane enough?
I think so.
Because just think about it. This isn't a 1-year problem, right? This has been, the way it seems, he's been an issue for multiple years, and they've kind of brushed it aside. There was the quote in whose article was it? Might have been Kevin Kerr's article, pretty much saying that multiple players went to go talk to Doug Wilson about it, and they were just told this is normal.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it sounds like it's a bigger issue. Sorry, go ahead.
I kind of agree with that, Alex. It is a very big issue right now. And again, we're not going to look into too many of the details of Evander Kane for this one. But what I am looking at is just mounting frustration, because you're already having core guys not want to be there. But when you look at that core, it's look what they've been the last 2 years. It's there's not really much on the Sharks right now that has shown that they could be a contender, that they could change, they could turn this around quickly. And they're in such a precarious situation, because Thomas Hertel is really the guy that he hasn't signed his long-term extension yet, that he can leave, right? He doesn't have a Brett Burns or a Vlasic or a Carlson type of contract. And I could see from his perspective with that is that this guy wants to explore now. He wants to kind of see what's out there, because he is really in his prime. But again, if he signs long-term with San Jose, what will they be able to show in maybe 3 or 5 years?
Well, a big part also about the Kevin Kerr stuff here is beside Kane, like obviously Kane's a big like, you're probably around these guys more than your own family, especially the last year. And you'd imagine anything with Kane over the last year, especially, would be even worse because of how close contact it would have been to him. Is apparently Hurdle's not interested in a rebuild. It's really weird. He referenced Montreal as an example of the rebuild on the fly. So that was kind of funny. But that's also a big part of trying to keep Hurdle. There was a quote from Hurdle himself saying, like, I want to stay. It's like my second home. I started playing hockey here. I got 500 games here. San Jose means something to me. If you could build that connection, especially like Thomas Hurdle is, I think he's Czech.
Yeah.
Czech, yes. Well, Thomas, obviously. Yeah. We had this conversation. Like, you need to, like, I don't think like the ship has sailed, but even if it's not the only thing you can do, and like competitiveness is such a thing, and again, the money he could get in the open market, like you're probably fighting an uphill battle. But like, let's be honest, if they find some gambling stuff on Kane, like then you probably have the termination of the contract there.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
a lot
pause.
has to happen, but like Kane is the first step, and it's more than just Hurdle there. Again, it's the whole organization. Like there has to be a boiling point, right? And it being public, I imagine, has to put even more pressure. Like again, like just common sense dictates, and it doesn't really help with a lot of GMs. It's like, forget, like, first off, again, ignoring everything but Kane. He's a winger, and you have this like star centerman that's just sitting there. Like your franchise goes back how many years if you lose Thomas Hurdle, and the work they put into that guy too. That's not easy to replace. Like San Jose, Doug, Mr. Wilson, sir, please, like, do what you have to do. I'm sure, like, listen, I'm sure they can figure something out at some point. Like, not to mention, you got to imagine maybe at some point there's going to be a team thinking, "Hey, there, I can fix this." Because I mean, like, let's be honest here. The Habs drafted Mayu, guys. Like,
I know, but this is very like this Evander Kane stuff is extremely public. Like this is more public than I think any other incident, and the NHL is full of incidences. It's just this one is so public that I say this, but I know I'm going to be wrong. I can't see a team doing it.
And Antonio Brown is still playing in the NFL.
I'm gonna lie. I'm checking right now on Cap Friendly.
Yeah.
And an Evander King buyout would actually not be that bad.
Are the windows done for that though?
I think so.
It will be. Just, I don't know. You could tell him for the 1 year until the summer don't play.
And just send him home.
Yeah, just send him
Suspend him.
home.
You find a reason to suspend him without pay, and just sort of tell the guys, like, listen, this is going to be done.
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe.
sure it can be done.
That happens in the
I'm
NBA
sure.
a lot, where like they tell like a guy who's making a lot of money that they're like, don't come to practice.
And then we're gonna buy you out and then sign.
Like you're gonna be in the press box. Like you still have to come to the games because you're part of the team, but you're in the press box.
Yeah, but
Gary,
usually-
it's Doug. I need help. Well, you're an American team, so I'll give it to you. Like,
and you're in California, right? So
exactly.
right.
Okay, this is my prediction. They're gonna find something of cause here. I don't know when, but they're gonna do the Mike Richards route.
I mean, so things a little different.
I know. I mean,
I don't think Evander Kane's been caught at the border with something he shouldn't have, along with a bunch of his other teammates. I mean,
okay,
mean,
because the gambling thing is pretty. I know it's still an allegation at this point, but if there's proven.
Yeah.
If it's proven, then I think that's something that could be cause as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I'm sure if they try hard enough, they'll find something.
I'm sure something will be done about this.
Yeah. But in the meantime, like, just they have to do something. They have to do something. Otherwise, like, the whole thing, the whole reputation of the organization is really like it's hanging by a thread at this point. Not Arizona bad actually, but
don't you find it interesting how? And I noticed this a couple days ago, like as I was reading the Thomas Hurdle stuff, how quickly things have changed in San Jose, not necessarily the team on the ice, but the locker room. As soon as there's no more Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, it completely changes. And I mean, that sounds obvious, but when you're in that locker room for that long, your presence must rub off on other people. And it just seems to be that either it did rub off on people and it's just sour, or it didn't rub off on people. Because we have this discussion about Boston and Tampa Bay. Like, they're never going to have an issue signing guys for under market value because there's a organizational pyramid there. You can't make more than Sidney Crosby. You can't make more than whichever guy. It just, there's something missing here. And it's weird. It's weird to me.
Well, you still think about, Marleau had those couple of years when he was in, out.
Yeah.
No offense. Is Joe Thornton the type of guy who can lead a team on his own? No, but it's not he'd be a good. Well, no, hold on. Because think of it like this too, right? You can forgive a lot of stuff when you're winning too, and the Sharks haven't been winning for a long time now, and it's like all of a sudden, like, you can listen to your boss, but if you're at a company and you know you're losing thousands and thousands, and your job is you're a guy who, man, I'm a member of the Sharks. Like, I don't have a big ticket, so if they need to get an asset or something, I'm going to be the guy moved out. Even if Joe Thornton's a great guy or Patrick Marleau's a great guy, you only listen to your boss, but until you start getting sick of your job or you hate it. I wonder if there's that sort of like, man, we just got caved in by the Golden Knights again. Like, pack it in about pucks in deep. I wonder if it's that type of thing. And again, like the Sharks just aren't what they used to be. You know, it's just like, and the Erik Karlsson stuff just hasn't been great. Like, imagine you have another guy like who's a leader. Where it's like you can clearly see where your team's at and the direction they may have to take, and he doesn't want to be a part of it. But then they can't move him because he took all this money. And I just wonder if it's just they're getting a bit too divided there, and and we've talked about, like, it was almost weird that same year that Marleau left and Couture was made captain was just never the same. And let's not forget they lost Joe Pavelski too. Like, how massive was that?
That was huge. I think that was that, along with the Vegas loss and then Joe Pavelski leaving that.
Yeah.
I think those were the two factors. But again, like what we've said before, this team, and I know, they were winning for a while, but this team is in desperate need for a rebuild. But because of those contracts, and I know I've mentioned the Islanders as an example before, but I know different situation, different type of leadership group there. But with the Sharks I don't know what they're going to do. Like, I don't see them taking the LA Kings kind of path with things, because Logan Couture is not Anze Kopitar. And all of the defensemen right now, and I know that they've been good before, but in terms of injury, in terms of age, none of them are Drew Doughty.
Kurz did say, by the way, in this thing is like they can't look at doing a full rebuild. Like, it's not an option.
You know what I think it's comparable to? And Adam, you made this point 2 or 3 episodes ago now about Nashville, when we were talking about how they can't do a proper rebuild necessarily, because if they start sucking majorly, they're going to lose out on ticket revenue because no one's going to show up. And I think that's the case here in San Jose. They can do it in LA because how many tourists go to LA? A bajillion. People from Montreal, people from Toronto, people from New York. There's people who go to LA to watch games, right? So they can do that, but it's not the same in San Jose. I don't know, but I don't know many people going to that area. So I wonder if it's a similar situation as, we can't really rebuild, because if we tear this down, we're going to have 0 fans in the stands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The teal can only go so far.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right. I think we can put a bow on Kane and all that, and San Jose there. Mess. That's why they were like the second worst team on the front office ranking. Where's their vision, guys? Because I don't know. We have gone a little long here. So let's just quickly wrap up with Flyers kind of skipped over this. Sean Couturier was very, very quietly extended. 8 years, kicks in at the start of next season, obviously. The AAV this is a really just good contract. 7.75. I was worried that he was going to get at least 8, which like he would have, like, because it's like, well, like Voracek's gone and I'm better than Giroux now.
Yeah.
So pay me. But like I think Philly needed a big undisputed win of a contract. And Couturier was just so stupidly underpaid, and he won the Selke not long ago either. So,
Love it.
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
I like it. I like it that the Flyers, when it comes to trades, they usually are the guys that overpay, I think. But when it comes to guys that they've homegrown, there's something about loyalty in Philadelphia that I've seen that Sean Couturier just ran with it, and he knows that that's where he fits for the team. He knows that really he is their best forward right now, and he sees something there that I've had doubts with Philly with what they were building and what they were trying to do now, but he sees something there. He sees the vision there that they could be a contender or something.
And a lot of money.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
I think we get 8. To be honest.
If he hit the open market, I can't imagine the
get Jeff Skinner money
he would get. Honestly, I bet there's a team who would give him Jeff Skinner money though. I know you say that jokingly, but I feel like there would be.
It's hilarious, by the way. Like all these defensemen signing these big $9 million contracts, and Jeff Skinner is still like made bottom 5 worst contracts in the league. And like Doughty and Carlson are there too. You're like, oh no. Like those are the really bad deals that just are like it's so bad that even, after like a meteor shower of an awful season of just terrible deals after terrible deals, you're still at the top. You survived, but it's in all the wrong ways. Another thing.
Yeah.
We don't talk about wrestling a lot. Like,
no.
Like, it was a really pleasant surprise when you just hop on Twitter one day and you're like, what, CM Punk's back in the wrestling? AEW? What's this stuff about? What's all this shenanigans?
I heard AEW.
No.
AEW. Okay.
Even the great chicken strips at A&W, though, let me tell you.
They AEW, not A&W. They are having themselves a couple weeks. I heard there was rumors about CM Punk, but then the fact that he came out was like, it was just incredible.
There's been like CM Punk may come back for years, but at this point it was just like, no, he's not. And like they had Cult of Personality too, which is like, wait a minute, and it was him, and he was there. He looks great, by the way.
He does. He was on 31 Thoughts. He was.
Get him
on the Chill and Bum podcast.
Yeah. The first thing Chicago tweeted about that wasn't like, you suck. Wasn't when he tweeted about him.
But I'm genuinely excited for, I don't know, whatever reason. Like I honestly stopped watching wrestling once he left. I tried. I really did. Like just for the fun of it. It just got horrible.
You do a watch party.
Yeah, like about what? Like just watching his wrestling?
Yeah.
I don't know, just something. I don't know.
It was like he was that friend it's like you go out with and he's not afraid to say anything to anyone. And then it was like he was the champion, I remember, for like ever. It was great. And then like they took it off of him because they were using The Rock and Cena as like a main event. Yeah. It was like, what is this about? And he was like having this match with Jericho, and it was like, well, like this is fun. I don't want to watch like Cena and Rock. And I remember back then it was like Cena saying you left the business. And then all these years later, and it's like, well, John,
how the turntables.
How's Fast and Furious? Like legit, one of the
cheesiest movies.
Seriously, like, oh my god, talk about you either die here or live like long enough to be a villain. John Cena's the Joker. Like that was hilarious to see.
I'd like to see that. John Cena's the Joker.
No, I would not. No, he doesn't have the personality.
Well, you would be able to see him, right? So
yeah.
Mark Hamill is the only one who should get that.
He would be the best Joker because you would never be able to see him coming.
No. Okay. Unfortunately, it is a sad way to end the show. It's been more than a week on this because time doesn't exist anymore. The past few weeks have been really rough in hockey. Just at the end of the show, we at least like to say a word on unfortunately, it's a few passings. Ronan Sharma, Caleb Reimer, Parker Magnuson, the trio of teenage hockey players that lost their lives in the high-speed car crash. They were all members of the Delta Hockey Program, or Academy, I should say. To Rod Gilbert, Mr. Ranger, the Rangers' all-time leading scorer. A true legend passes away at the age of 80. And the one that's hit home to a lot of people as well, Jimmy Hayes, passes away at the age of 31, the day after his son's birthday. I'm sure everyone's seen some of the great tributes coming out, especially with Hayes. Like, I know not everyone loves Barstool, but you know what? They've like Spit and Chicklets did some great stuff. Even at a service, his brother had a great story that people should go check out. Get some tissues, though. It's really sad. Barstool's president even had something to say about it. So, it's just we always talk about it, especially like going back to the Walter Gretzky stuff. It's the stuff that you hear about after someone's passing that shows how important they were to people. And when you see someone like Rachel Doré say like Jimmy Hayes, one of the real good guys, it's harrowing to say the least.
Mhm.
And I think anything to say on that, guys, or it's a hard way to end the episode, but we felt bad we didn't mention it with Will. Again, we ran out of time in that episode. So we felt like we needed to mention it before, kind of going forward, really.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel.
Honestly, just like for me is the Jimmy Hayes one. If I'm going to just add one comment to it, is it really did kind of hit me in a way because I know he never played for the Leafs, but the fact that he was drafted by them, he was someone that I really followed in the World Juniors, and I followed in the World Juniors, followed his university before the Leafs decided to trade him. And again, like, yeah, he was that high character guy that was someone that was pretty outspoken. Like, he played that role of what you wanted on a team eventually. Like, when he went to the Bruins, like, he was like that Bruins guy, but like he was that character guy. So it is kind of weird to me because like he, in like an odd way, just because he was drafted by the Leafs, but also because of that, I knew his background already coming into the league. It's just weird. It's like a guy part of my childhood, but someone that like it's so young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, all of them are. It's just there's 4 of them right there that are so young, especially those teenagers. It's disappointing. It's disappointing.
Yeah. So, if anything, I guess we can say this episode's for all of them. Again, Jimmy Hayes, Rod Gilbert, Ronan Sharma, Caleb Reimer, Parker Magnuson. And again, respects and condolences to the family, all of that. And, we'll end it there. No silly outro. No need for that. So, we'll see everyone next time.